This episode of the Fight Within podcast is presented to you by Meguiar's. For over 115 years, Meguiar's has been carefully creating and producing advanced formulas with cutting-edge chemistry to deliver a show car perfect appearance. Whether you're showing on the fairway, finalizing your car for auction, or simply getting your beloved car ready for a weekend drive, Meguiar's is ready to help with their premium car care products to make every automotive surface look its absolute best. Meguiar's, reflect your passion. Make sure to visit them at meguiars.com.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Fight Within podcast. Today's guest is Iasmim Casser, or Casser. Did I say it wrong? I always mess it up.
That was better than I would have.
So she is a former Muay Thai competitor / fighter and is now a professional MMA fighter and BJJ Black Belt and fighter. So that's insane just on its own. So thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate you. And I met you once at RVCA, and then I was like, I gotta email her, message her, and I messaged you, and you said yes, and now you're here.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
No, of course.
And just tried some really good coffee from this guy here. That's awesome. So it's been great so far.
That's so funny.
So tell us a little bit about your background. Tell us about kind of how you got to where you are today, because it's not I was reading up a little bit before you got here and throughout the week. It's not a normal journey, I would say, to get to where you're at. It's very admirable, and in my opinion, it's inspiring. So if you could kind of tell us a little bit about your background and your upbringing.
Of course. So I'm from Brazil. So I'm originally from Brazil. I was born in 1998 in the very countryside of Brazil in the south, like about 2 hours driving from Uruguay, so in the very, very south. Pretty different than the famous places like Rio, São Paulo, where all the tourists go. It's a very impoverished area. My family, for instance, they didn't have much money, so like we lived like far away, very far from the city. And at 13 years old, I decided to leave the house because there weren't many opportunities there, and always wanted to give my family like a better life. So I decided to leave. I got this opportunity of studying in a federal school, a technical school, and I studied chemistry there in the city of Pelotas, which was the city next to my city. I was living and I was making a living by teaching guitar to other kids at the time. Like my father was a musician, and by watching him, I kind of taught myself how to play guitar, and that was something that I saw as a way to just get enough money to pay for a room in like a college house. I don't know how you guys call it here, like
a dorm.
A dorm room.
Yeah, like a dorm, and it was like a very rough time, like living in the city of Pelotas, but somehow it felt like better than before, because like I said, like I was used to a very like tough reality, and like really like living in what you could call like a farm, like it could be like a so the first time I got in touch with martial arts, I was about 16 years old, and it was Muay Thai. It was pretty much an accident. A friend of mine used to train and compete in Muay Thai, and he would be talking about it, and then I decided to do a trial class. I did that trial class, and I could never stop doing it anymore.
Fell in love with it.
Yes, it was something different, because so far I was a kid pretty much, even though I had been like taking care of myself for a while, and had to work and study, and didn't really have time to like have fun like other kids, and family time, quality time. So that moment of the day was like, it really enlightened my life. Like it made me feel alive, and I felt something that I cannot explain. It was just like I was destined to be there somehow. I competed for the first time after maybe like a month or two training in Muay Thai. I was still a juvenile, of course. I was 16 years old, And the moment the ref said, like, combate, right, in Portuguese, like, fight, it was something just crazy, something that just changed my life. Like, my brain just, turned off. Like, there were no thoughts of anything, just really, that feeling of just surviving at that moment, you know? And I feel like I felt like it was related to the same situation I was living, of like having to survive and fight literally fight for my life, like on my own. And that moment, I feel like it represented that fight, like my personal fight. And so in my head, it really made sense somehow. And I was like, I really need to seek for this feeling again. And that's what I've been doing. And then just later, I got in touch with MMA, like other martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
I would not really like to watch like jiu-jitsu or anything other than Muay Thai. I would say it's boring and, I wasn't a big fan. I was like, no, I'm the Muay Thai girl, tough girl. This is what fighting is. And I would say, no, this guys from jiu-jitsu, they're just hugging each other, not doing anything. Wow, like, things changed a little bit, right? But long story short, another friend of mine, told me, you should go and do a trial class of jiu-jitsu, because one day maybe you want to do MMA or something like that. And I was like, at the time I wasn't thinking of being a professional fighter at all, like
And you're still 16, 17 at this time?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would compete in Muay Thai and do good. I was still a beginner, maybe like with a year of training, and of course, like, I was full of dreams and ideas, but I never really believed that I was actually gonna follow that path, like, to the pro level,
Uh-huh.
And especially never imagined that just maybe, I'm 23 now, so 7 years. I did not think that a few years later I was going to be living in the United States and winning world championships and stuff like that at the time. But, well, that idea of MMA that my friend told me about kind of got in my head and got me thinking. And so that's how I started doing a little bit of no-gi classes, like jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And, like, honestly, I didn't like it that much at first.
Oh, okay.
Until I got the opportunity of moving to a bigger city, the capital of my state, called Porto Alegre, to a professional MMA team. And then this coach at the time, Fabiano Montes Doca, he was very known in my state. He said, I see a potential in you, and I feel like we could do great things together, and you can change your reality by doing this. Like, you don't really need to be a chemistry engineer like I wanted to be before. I feel like you could really shine in this sport. And I'm like, you're crazy. But he just said that I just needed to turn 18, because at the time I was still 17, so we can actually fight. And then whenever I turned 18, I also graduated in the chemistry. And I left everything behind in Pelotas, my little dorm room, and went to this other city, started actually working in a lab, like in a cosmetic company. And I would train the rest of the day. So I'd work in the morning and train the rest of the day. So still not like professional fighter life, but I was training in a professional team. And then these people got me opportunities of fighting and training like at a different level already. And so that's how I did my first amateur MMA fight in an event called Fight to Win in Rio. So it was already something like pretty big to me.
Yeah.
It was in the TV and stuff, and so I was like, this is really exciting. I won in like a minute and 37 seconds. I'll tell you why. Because I was so scared that I wanted to finish that fight so fast. As fast as I could leave that place, I would be happy too. The girl was like, seemed to be like so much bigger than me, and I was actually like so scared. I was 18 years old, and you know, like coming from the farm, you know. And so I think I saw this like maybe watching Ronda Rousey in the TV, like doing that judo throw. I had never trained judo in my life. I had little experience in the no-gi, and maybe like 10 Muay Thai fights in the juvenile division still. And my first reaction was to just throw her, like just like Ronda did in the fights, because that's what I watched, but I never trained that. So I threw the girl, and I just didn't let her hit me anymore. Like, didn't give her any chance of making any damage, and I, just like I saw in the fights, like in the TV, I rear naked choked her, but I didn't even know what I was doing.
That is
So that
cool.
was like my first MMA
still won.
experience.
But so throughout this whole journey, you're still going to school and you're training all while before you even make your debut.
Yeah.
And so without backtracking, why did you want to leave at 13? Like why did you have that sense of like, I have to be the supporter for my family? Like do you remember what was going through your mind when you were 13?
So I was not comfortable with the situation, and I felt like people in that place, they were just used to not having opportunities, not having like resources of, you know, like making anything different.
And they're just okay with that.
They
like
were just okay with that. And like, I understand, like, you know, you, of course you can be happy just by being around your family. But the world is big, and there's just so many things that you can see, and places that you can go, and things that you can achieve, and just, you know, knowledge to explore. And nobody told me to be like that, but I just always wanted more, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anyone else was gonna do anything to change that reality. So like, ever since I remember, I'm like that. Like, I'm always like telling my mom, we need to do something. Mom, we need to change this. Like, Mom, I wanted to study. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an astronaut. I want to, you know, I want to do something exciting. And to be honest, like, I didn't have much support, because I feel like sometimes when you're used to a situation, when you're used to a reality, like, it feels like your mind gets like small, and you don't see what's right in front of you.
Yeah.
You just think that it's impossible, you know, but it's not. It's right there. Like, you just need to have the will to change things, like the will, the power, you know, the action to change things, and to take action, to be brave enough to try, because if you don't try, then like,
so
nothing changed.
You didn't want to conform to your surroundings. Like, you wanted
Yes.
more. Do you think that was this something that you saw, like on TV, or where did you get that inspiration from? Because I think it's very easy to talk about that, or to even dream it. It's very easy, but to actually go out and do something about it, like what motivated you to want to go out and do something? Because it's, like I said, it's easy to talk about it, but to take action, a lot of people don't do that. They're either scared or they're comfortable. What's bred in you, or did you just decide, like, hey, I'm going to go do something, I want something different, and you just did?
I think it's just because it was not comfortable. Like I said, like, it was just so hard to accept that to me, that I had to change it. I don't think I would, to be honest, like, life didn't make any sense to me, like, growing up. Like, I can totally tell you I did not have a childhood. You know, like, I did not have fun. I didn't hang out with other kids. I was very introvert. Like, also, like, growing up, my mom, she wasn't really, like, very loving, because I understand now, like, many years later, that, like, she didn't have an easy life, like, an easy childhood as well. And I've heard, like, from her stories that, like, her father was very aggressive to her. So she would kind of do the same thing to me. And it was pretty rough. And like I said, I understand, like some people when their own childhood it's tough, they do the same thing to their kids, you know. So I wasn't happy. Like I was in a very uncomfortable situation there. And also, like I said, like my family was very poor. Sometimes, I'm not exaggerating. Sometimes we didn't have what to eat. Like it was just like very unresourceful environment, you know. And I think the rest is just like in me, you know. Like I always had like so many dreams and so many ideas, and like I said, like no one really supported my idea of leaving the house. I was literally on my own when I left the house. I had no help from my family at all at 13 years old. And the thing is, I think what kept me going is that I didn't know it wasn't okay. I didn't know that it wasn't normal, because even though I was struggling in this other city and trying to make a living just by, you know, having just few classes to other kids, like I mentioned, making very little money, just enough to survive, literally eating rice from the microwave, you know. It was better than at my house. It was better than back home. It was like way better, and I had peace because I wasn't in that environment anymore of poverty and aggressiveness and violence, you know. And I feel like martial arts found me. Like it wasn't like it was literally an accident. I wasn't looking for it, and it just like fit perfectly because I had all this trauma, like from you know, like my mom not being so loving, being aggressive at times. And then I had this way to make me feel alive, to make my life make sense, to make a change, you know, like step by step. And also related to that, you know, what I mentioned with the violence and stuff, but in a different way. Because now it's fighting, but not really, you know, like I'm not really trying to hurt somebody or like to be mean to somebody. It's like everything with technique and all, but it relates to that, you know. Like I feel like somehow it's related to my childhood.
That's a very unique perspective.
Honestly, I was
awesome
sitting here just listening, and it's like one of those things where I'm like getting a little emotional because I'm like thinking about like my daughter.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, the kids here don't realize like how lucky they are. And I think for me, it's like hearing stories like yours, not that it makes it better for you because you had to go through it, but it's turned you to who you are today. Like when I think about being a parent, I want to take all like the best parts of like my parents, right? And the worst parts of my parents and try to become those better parts. And just like hearing that, I was like, dude, I couldn't imagine my daughter having to go through that. And there's so many people around the world that have to go through that stuff. And here in America, it's, oh, let's just drink fancy coffee and drink nice cars, right? But it's like, I don't think people have no clue, because I was in the Marine Corps, so I traveled, you know, I went to the Middle East a lot, and I've been to like Ethiopia and stuff. Like I've seen the worst of the worst, and we live, you know, 10 minutes from Newport Beach, so I've seen the best of the best. And to hear like you at 13 being able to have that ability to, not even just the ability to do it, but like the determination, and we talk about it all the time, but like that drive and the passion to be able to just keep going. You know, it's something that's super special. Not very many people have that, and I don't know anything about you until today. I just, you know, I mean, I saw you at the gym one time, but that's whatever. But like I didn't really know who you are, and honestly, just to like hear the parts that you've already shared, I'm just like, dude, I'm a fan. Like in the sense of like not you fighting, but I'm just like a fan of
the journey,
of your journey and what you've accomplished, and like all the people that have to go through that. I'm like, dude, I need to stop complaining.
But to just have that much sense as a 13-year-old to say, man, like I'm gonna teach music. I'm going because I need income, so I'm gonna teach music. I'm gonna teach something that I know. I think it is very, very unique and admirable, because it's at 13 I was probably eating Cheetos and watching football. Like
seriously, going to In-N-Out.
Yeah,
and getting,
I don't know what I was doing. So,
getting brand new shoes, and it puts in perspective.
Which there's nothing wrong with that too, it's just that sometimes, like, you hear stories of, let's say, like, people that have become, like, criminals or drug addicts. And then they say, oh, it's because they were born in a, like, rough environment. And I understand that can really influence someone, like, especially in your childhood, where you're still, like, building who you are, like, but I feel like it's on you. Like, there's part of you, like your essence, like who you are, that can choose, like, your decisions, like who you're gonna be, your character, like what do you want to achieve. And you can always change your environment. You have that power within you. Like, maybe some people don't see that, or like I said, that they're comfortable with it, like they're just used to, okay, like, maybe, like, my family doesn't have the best resources, but this is my life, this is how I'm gonna live. And maybe I won't be going to college, maybe I'll be living this way forever, because that's how it is. But I feel like within you have the power to do whatever you desire, like to achieve whatever you want. It's just a matter of will, and taking action and believing it.
Yeah, you got to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes you have no other option. Like me, like I had no one to fight for me. Like I said, like I did not have help from anyone, so that was it. Like I had no other option. If I didn't do that to myself, nobody would. So you find a way.
So now you're taking that same determination and that willpower into MMA, and so you're 18 now. And what happens after your first pro fight? Let's go back to the journey.
I know we got sidetracked. Yeah. I had to just say what I had to say, because I was like, I honestly was sitting here listening. I was like, I'm about to start crying. Literally, because it just made me start thinking. And like, I always want to be like the best version of myself for like my family. Like for me, but for my family is like my main goal, right? Like I want to give my family, my friends, everyone in my circle, like the best possible version of myself. So like to hear that, I was like, dang, dude, I need to... Those days where I'm tired or I had a I don't know, whatever, like I just need to always remember, dude, you have a beautiful life here. You don't have to worry about where your food is coming from. You have a roof over your head. You have all these things. I have brand new shoes, like whatever, and then to hear stories like that, it really just, it reminds me, like, and I feel like there's seasons of life where you always have to be reminded of that. And not in a way of like, oh, look at me. It's just, it makes me appreciate things that I have because of the things I've seen in my life, where I'm like, I'm going to teach my kids to appreciate, but I also want to teach them how to get to what you did. Like I want to be able to help them. I'm not going to give it to them, but I want to be able to help them. So I went back on a tangent again, but I was just like, oh my gosh. So
that's awesome though.
Manny,
no, that's good.
After your first fight, you turned 18. How did you, after your first MMA fight, let's kind of pick up there so you can kind of walk us through how you got from there to a jiu-jitsu badass to everything. So,
well, it's a long story. Like from 13 to 19, I feel like that's like I had just so much stuff like going on, like concentrated in just like a few years. So I was even lost, like trying to explain. It's always hard to explain because so many things happen. It's like one thing led to another and led to another and led to another, and it's just like everything just fit just so perfectly. That seems like it almost seems like a movie. But so after this was actually my amateur fight at 18.
Oh, okay.
And I had a pro fight after, but this one was my first experience, like let's say in a big promotion. This one was an event that was in the media in Brazil. Like my fight was an amateur fight, but all the other ones were pro fights, and we had like big names of people that had been like in the UFC or Bellator or other promotions, like big promotions, in this one. And everything was just so new to me. I literally felt like like I came from the zoo, like, you know, like in the middle of those people, you know, that were like famous and that were pros in the MMA world. I was like, what am I doing here? This, you know, like this weird. And I was totally scared, and the way I won fast, like I mentioned before, was because I was really scared. But lots of people came to say congratulations and said, like, you did great, you did amazing. And these people that I had been admiring for a while, you know, so that was my first experience, actually realizing that, okay, like, maybe I have something special in me, you know. And came back to the gym, kept training. I started having the desire of training more grappling and training more jiu-jitsu because I realized that it was going to be essential in the future if I ever wanted to actually get somewhere in the pro MMA world. I would start training in the gi and as a white belt, of course, more often then, and started doing like a few like competitions and local jiu-jitsu tournaments at the time. I had this big desire of digging into jiu-jitsu and, you know, like learning this thing like deeply. I wouldn't say that though. Like, I wouldn't do that because I didn't want my focus to go away.
From MMA?
Yes. But I had this inside me, like, ever since my first MMA experience, right? And I never thought I was ever gonna become like a jiu-jitsu competitor, specifically jiu-jitsu competitor. But I had this desire. So, long story short, kept training, ended up doing my pro debut. To be honest with you, I was not ready for that. Like I said, I didn't have enough grappling experience. I didn't have enough confidence. I felt like at the time I wasn't aware of it. I won that one in like, I think like 52 seconds.
Sheesh.
Also because I was really scared.
Yeah.
Scared to lose, scared to get hurt, scared to failure, you know. But same thing. I went for like a judo takedown that I didn't know how to do, but somehow I pulled that at the moment. And same thing, rear naked choke. It was like my instinct that, you know. Whenever I came back to the gym, I told myself, now I really have to learn this thing, like grappling, because I can tell that I already have like an instinct to it. Even though I don't train that much, I feel like it's really essential for MMA. You can really change the scenario if you're like getting beat up, standing up, and you don't have any jiu-jitsu, you don't have any other option of what to do. You don't have any escape. You know, if you have jiu-jitsu, you can take them down, like put the fight to the ground, and I felt like I wanted to be like complete. I wanted to be good in every area. I wanted to be the best version of myself. Turns out I had some friends that moved here a couple of years before that, and whenever actually I skipped like a very important part of it. In 2017, I went to Thailand to compete Muay Thai Worlds as a juvenile still. Ended up winning. Whenever I came back to Brazil, I was going to the gym. I was preparing for the pro fight. And some guy, so it's hard to talk about this because it brings back some bad memories. But so in Porto Alegre, the city I used to live, some parts of the city were pretty dangerous, just like most places in Brazil. And there, it's way more common than here to hear about women like getting raped and harassed and stuff like that. And so, and also like robbery in general, you know, like they just rob you like for no reason, sometimes like for $10 that's in your wallet, you know, and if you don't give it to them, they kill you. So it's like very dangerous. You really gotta watch out, like when in specific neighborhoods there. And I was going to the gym in the morning one day, and this guy in a motorcycle, one of those scooters, like very like
a Vespa type scooter thingy.
Yeah, and he had the helmet, and those ones that are open like right here. It's just like a string.
Yeah.
He went over the sidewalk where I was. I heard him. It was early in the morning, so there weren't many cars or anyone like really walking in the streets. I thought he was going to rob me, like for sure. And I've been robbed like many times in Brazil. And so I kind of like froze. And I was like, please just don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Don't kill me. And then he passes by me very slowly. He wasn't going to rob me. He just sneaked his hand underneath my skirt. I was wearing a skirt, and I froze at the time, and then I woke. Like, I realized what was going on, and it just snapped like this. I pushed the guy, and I pushed him off the motorcycle. I started kicking him. I started like going at him. I don't know what happened to me. It never happened ever again, thank God, because like I wouldn't want to kill somebody, you know, right now talking to you guys, but at the moment I wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
Like I was really like
you blacked out.
Yeah, like I just snapped, and I started like kicking him, and like I wasn't going to stop. Like people had to stop. Like people in their cars like maybe thought that I was being the criminal there or something. He had to take me off the guy because I wasn't going to stop.
Yeah. And
that like it went to like local news, and some guy called Juliano, he had a sister, and he was raised like only with his mom and his sister, so he was like surrounded by women. And he felt like inspired by that, and he texted me on Facebook at the time, and he said, oh, that was really inspiring. I really wish that my sister, she knew how to defend herself that way, because in Brazil, it's pretty common, like this type of stuff like to happen, you know. I wish like all the women could do the same thing that you did, and be able to stop someone from doing something worse, raping or killing them or something. And I just wanted to say that, like, thank you for being this inspiration, giving us hope, whatever. And he said that he wanted to meet up and maybe sponsor me. So that's how I got my first sponsor, and he ended up being like an investor.
That's awesome.
And he started paying for my rent. At the time, I was living in a fighter's house, like a place with a bunch of people, like living a very small place, very dirty. So he helped me out, like he gave me a place to live, and so things started getting like easier after that with his support. I was also working. I would work half time and then train the rest of the day. It was very exhausting. But then now I had this support, you know, like he ended up becoming like my best friend, like a brother to me. And what's funny is that like for a while I didn't want to meet up with him because I was so like suspicious that like everyone just wanted to take advantage because of how things are in Brazil, that I thought he wanted something else. He didn't want to just like help me, you know. So I would block him. I would like not want to talk to him. He'd be like, I want to meet up and talk about a sponsorship. And I was like, nah, this dude doesn't want to help, you know. And then the only moment that I opened up for him was when he said, oh, I have an associate, which was a girl, and maybe we can meet up, me, you, and her, so you feel more
comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's how I met up with him the first time. And then, like, he gave me so much support, and I was just so thankful. That's when things started changing a little bit. Yeah, so I had my pro debut in MMA. Felt that need to learn more grappling, that desire. And so things happened in a way that I remember that I had these friends that moved here a couple of years before, and he wanted my investor, he wanted to come here and just visit the country, and he said, like, maybe you should go and do the world championship, like the Jiu-Jitsu world championship, because I was a white belt at then. I didn't train that much, but it was right at that time of the year where Worlds happens, I think, like June.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, maybe you should go visit them, go with me, so you can already like have your U.S. visa in case like you want to move here in the future, move there. Because that was my goal with MMA to, in the future, like fighting professionally, to eventually move to the United States, make a better life, because in Brazil things are pretty rough, right? So that was my goal. And we came, like me and him, we came here, and I came to visit my friends and to compete at Worlds. My friends train at Art of Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay. And
they are the ones that first told me about the Mendes Bros and about that different style of Jiu-Jitsu, very different than what I knew. Where I used to train Jiu-Jitsu was more like old school and like just like smash
and pass
and stuff like that. And not a bad type of Jiu-Jitsu, just like very old school, you know. And these friends, they were obsessed with AOJ, and they moved here because of AOJ.
Oh, wow.
And so I was training at AOJ when I came here to visit them. And that's how I met Professor Guy and Professor Rafa. I was a white belt. Whenever I went to compete at Worlds, they didn't let me compete because I was a white belt with MMA experience. And they said, like I was telling you before, that if you have any MMA experience, you're supposed to compete as a blue belt, not a white belt. And I was devastated because I was like, I really wanted to be a white belt world champion. What's wrong with that, you know? It was just because I had just won Muay Thai Worlds, and I was like, it would be so cool to have two world titles, you know, in two different martial arts. Even though I had no idea that like winning in the black belt is nothing compared to like winning in the black belt, you know. I wanted to do that. So I was devastated when they said I couldn't compete. And then Professor Guy talked to me, and he really like motivated me to like keep training jiu-jitsu back home. The next year, I came back to the U.S. to compete again, actually to train at AOJ again as a blue belt. Whenever I came back home, they gave me the blue belt since I couldn't compete as a white belt. And that's when he invited me to be part of their competition team. And I told this to my investor, Juliano, my investor, and he agreed, and he said, I think you should go, because I plan to come here with MMA in the future whenever I had like enough MMA fights and could make it to a big promotion. That's when I was planning to move to the US. And then that was like way sooner than I thought when Professor Guy invited me, and for a different reason, you know, grappling. And I never thought of being a jiu-jitsu competitor before. And so I had to rethink about everything, and Professor Guy told me that if I was able to win worlds in every belt until the black belt and then go back to MMA, that would be way smarter for me, because I wouldn't take that much damage like in my body, like being so young at the time, and it would make my path shorter whenever I go back to MMA, because I'll be already known in jiu-jitsu. And so I don't have to do all those trials, you know, like have like 10 fights until I get to a bigger promotion.
Yeah.
Like the path becomes a lot shorter. You know, just like with Mackenzie, that she was 2 times black belt world champion, and whenever she started doing MMA, she had just like a few fights, and then she was already in the UFC. because people already know her. People want to see her, and that makes your career feel like better. Like you take less damage, and you fight for a shorter time, but at the same time you get to the highest level before you get too much damage to your body.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like it was very smart, and I agreed. I told my investor, and he said, agreed, I'll support you. And then I was like, okay, so I'm moving to the U.S.
That's so crazy.
It's really cool, because you go from like not having support from your family and going out on your own to now being full of people that want to see you succeed, that are supporting you in various different ways. How does that make you feel as just a person, to know that there's still like good people out after all the crap and all bad things happening and not having family support and going through everything that you're going through, to still know that people want to see you succeed, that people believe in you, that they see something in you, they see your potential? Like, how does that make you feel just as a person?
It makes me feel really blessed and lucky, to be honest, because it could have turned out like way differently. Like I could have, like maybe, yes, I was studying chemistry. I loved it, and I was going to be an engineer for sure. And I know I was going to be successful. Even if I wanted to do music, I know that if I put all of me into something, I'm going to be successful. If I love it, it's like it's just natural, you just go until it works. That's how I think, at least. Like I wouldn't stop until I get where I want to be in anything that I ever thought of being. Like if I ever really decided that I wanted to be an astronaut, for example, like I was saying before, like as a kid, like to my mom, I would have done that, like, because it's just, you set a goal in your mind and you go after it. It doesn't matter that I came from nowhere. You go step by step until you get there, And so I feel like it just happened in a way that things just fit perfectly, like one step after the other. And then I feel like that's just God, that's just God putting me in the right place with the right people at the same time. And of course it depends a lot on me too. Like I took those opportunities. I decided to work hard, and I did my best, my very best for everything to work out the way it did. But at the same time, I feel really blessed, and I feel happy that I got to trust people again. Like even though I had a really rough childhood, and like I said, like many times, like people have tried to take advantage, like men and stuff like that, and or just like even like with like sponsorship situations, like it happens very often when like companies they're interested to sponsor you, but they really like don't want to support you, and you really need to be smart in this game and stand up for yourself, and especially when I was younger and coming from nowhere, like very innocent. It was really just the gut feeling, because I had no idea of what I was doing. And thank God nothing bad happened to me in a way, so that's how I feel. I feel blessed. I feel like God's been watching over me.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that have not been as blessed, like with, like you said, people taking advantage. And there's a lot of jerks in the world. And a lot of people don't know how to... not even just take care of yourself, but there's a lot of people that don't know how to, when you're young and like you said, you're young and innocent and you're coming up in a sport, if someone's like, hey, here's $500 a month, but you have to do X, Y, and Z, some people might be like, well, shoot, $500, 500 US dollars is more money than I've ever made. It's sad. It really is. So no, that's super cool to hear. Like I've been like extremely inspired sitting here, like literally just sitting here. I'm like, dang, I've said it so many times, like on episodes that we've had with other people, like with how like inspiring it is. But I honestly think this is like the first time I've actually been like
the most inspiring.
Like, and emotional. I'm not a very emotional person. it does not happen. My wife wishes it did. Like, she's like, you didn't even cry at our wedding, and I was like,
oh my god.
But just listening to you, I think it pulls on like my heart a lot because I'm a father, and
well, yeah, your perspective changes.
Yeah, like drastically.
You don't want, like, I think about my daughters, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna kill somebody, like, if that ever happens.
Seriously.
Like, in my head while you were telling that story, I was picturing myself there, like, doing something really bad to that guy. And I'm like, no, you can't think those things, Manny. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, you feel like I always grew up being like a protector. So I'm like, no, like, I don't want that. That's why a lot of times, like, I don't mind. Like, I'll take my daughters anywhere. I'm like, if someone does something, like, poop's going to hit the fan. Like, it's going to go crazy. And so I could not imagine, like, being by yourself in that situation and having to just, like, react. You know, it's really, other than cool and inspiring, like, the fact that you overcame all that and then are really open about sharing that is literally what the show's all about. We want people to listen and hear your story and say, like, no, like, this still happens in 2020 and 2022. Like, these things happen. This is real life. I think people, especially like us, like, living here in Orange County, you don't get to, it's like, it's something in the back of your mind. You're like, oh, that's not real. It doesn't happen, or only happens in a certain area to certain people. Like, no, it is a very real thing. And there's like Ben said, you could put it better. Like, there's a lot of jerks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are just bad people. And the fact that you persevered and you kept going and you're pushing is very, very inspiring. Like, I literally want to take my daughter to come train with you.
Seriously.
I want to show them, be like, look, go kick someone's butt.
Yeah. Well, and not even just like the martial arts component, but the discipline it gives you, right? Like, we always talk about, like, the discipline that a sport gives you, especially like when you're competing at a professional level, a professional anything, professional in business, a professional attorney, a professional whatever, like, getting to a certain level from just being in the middle to, like, the elite. It's a discipline that is again, me personally, I don't think you can teach that discipline. It has to be inside of you. It has to be. You know, like the Kobe Bryants of the world, he didn't teach himself discipline. He had a switch in his brain that he didn't stop, like you said. He went step by step by step by step. Like, he wasn't like a Superman. He outworked everybody. And the same sounds like for you is, like, I mean, again, we just met you and we're hearing your story, but everything that you do, it seems like you've been able to just put 100%, and put, what's the analogy? Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. You just keep walking. So right now you're still competing jiu-jitsu. Just got your black belt recently. More recent, or?
Yeah, last month.
Okay.
Afterwards.
So black belt from Art of Jiu-Jitsu. For people that don't know, I'm like being like a little fanboy because that's insane. That's so cool. Being a black belt in jiu-jitsu period is insane, but being a black belt under the Mendes brothers is like, that's a different world of insane in the best way. Yeah. So when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So you're competing there. And then now you said you're getting back to MMA also?
Yes. So the plan was always MMA. Like, from the beginning, it was MMA. Like, jiu-jitsu happened. It was an accident again. Like, just like kind of everything that happened was kind of an accident. But I never thought of being a jiu-jitsu competitor. And even when Professor Guilherme Mendes, like you were saying, like, for those who don't know, like, he's like, they are like the sorcerers of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, he's like superstar status.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
And watching them back home, like in Brazil, I remember I was a super fan too.
Oh, and you knew of them already.
I mean, they're
because my friends that moved here before me.
Well, and in jiu-jitsu, you just, even me, since I'm new to jiu-jitsu, of course I know who they are. You know who every top person is.
Sure.
I've watched their Instagrams and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's just different because the school is called Art of Jiu-Jitsu, and it's just like that. It's like, I feel like the way they approach jiu-jitsu is just art.
Like an art.
It's, the way half a moves, like, he doesn't even train that much anymore. Like, he's focused on his family now and everything. He's retired. But whenever he goes, he beats everybody up, and it's just like natural, and it doesn't even look like he's
trying hard.
Yeah. And it's just natural, it's like his body's just flowing. It's beautiful. So it's different. And watching those guys, and then here in person, hearing from them that they believe I had a potential was like, whoa,
Yeah.
It's still hard to believe. And then I just got my black belt from them. It's like, it really hasn't hit me, like I still haven't understood what actually happened. And curious thing is, 2017, when I came here for the first time, I was a white belt.
Yeah.
So it's like we're in 2022 now.
Yeah, barely 2022.
Yeah.
So 4.5 years, basically.
It was,
it's really fast.
And in my mind, I'm still a purple belt.
Yeah.
And I only got to understand that I actually got to that level fighting. When I was there, like, fighting the best people in my division, the top athletes of jiu-jitsu. Like, of course, I haven't competed in the black belt yet. I have a lot to do. But in the color belts, I was there and I felt like I didn't see myself as the favorite ever, although I never lost a tournament ever since I got to the U.S. And Professor Guy told me that it was going to happen. And then, like you said, like, step by step, like, seeing the result. And I still hadn't realized, oh, it's true. Like, it's a matter of, working for it and getting the results you want. And I feel like only now I'm realizing that it's just like that. It's just like there's no monster, it's not like that person is the black belt world champion. Oh my God, it's just so far away from me. No, like, you just watch their game, you study what they do, and you work for it. You get there, you get to that level.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible, whatever you want to do, So like you were saying, step by step, and everything is achievable. Whenever I decided to move here and follow the path that they were suggesting me, I didn't really believe myself, to be honest. I accepted it, but I only started to believe it when I saw the results, And now, coming back to MMA, it's been I think like a year and a half that I've been training with Parillo.
Mm-hmm.
It's another GOAT, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel, like I said, I feel just so blessed because I get to train with who, in my opinion, are the best in the world for jiu-jitsu. And then I get to train with Parillo, who is the person, if I had to choose from anyone in the world, like, who you want to be your MMA coach, it would be Parillo.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan, too. And I walk into the gym every day to be trained by him. And, like, sometimes when I think about it, I'm like, wow, like, I just have the best of the best, like, supporting me, and they believe me. So the least I can do is to work as hard as I can, is to give my very best and leave everything there, like, not let anything for tomorrow, do everything that I can to be the best as I can be. Because if they believe me, then, well, like, I gotta at least trust them because they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I want to get up and train right now.
Yeah.
Let's go. No, I'm kidding.
I
think it's just honestly, just listening to your story. I've been around a lot of athletes. I've been around a lot of different sports, football players, wrestlers, MMA fighters, and a lot of times they learn these disciplines or learn these things in the sport, the discipline, the work ethic, the hard work, and I feel like you're the opposite. Like, you took the determination and the hard work and the discipline you had from life and then put that into the sport. And you and the mentality you got from life and the way you grew up, and then you're now able to translate that and put it into the sport as opposed to the other way. A lot of times guys learn it in the sport. They learn the tough mentality and discipline, and it's very, very cool to sit here and talk to you about that. It's to me, again, I can't say it enough. It's super inspiring because I feel like you're gonna go a long way. You have a lot of potential, and I think the moment when you believe that, and then you have someone else that just kind of helps push that and that belief in you, I think it's very, very important. You know, I don't think there's been. It's very rare, and I don't know of a story where an athlete has been successful without the right support.
Yeah, you have to have the right support.
And the fact that you do is just amazing. Like, I didn't accomplish a lot in my MMA career. I don't like when people are like, oh, he's a fighter. Like, I didn't do anything. But being at that level and training for so long and being around so many people, like, all I can tell you is like, keep going. Keep pushing. Don't stop believing in yourself because, like, you have it. And there's something there. Just keep working hard so that you can go help inspire other people. And then one day be that person for this little girl or boy who may be watching. And so when they get to that point, you can now be that support system and that person that believes in them. I think it's very, very important for people to have that mentality and to be humble like that. And it's crazy to see because it's very easy to get big-headed being around all those people and being like, I'm the best. Like, I'm going to conquer the world. But the fact that you're still humble, it's so unique and it's so special. So, yeah, just keep going. I can compliment you all day and sit here and say how awesome this is. But it's so cool. And it really is. It's even inspiring for me because it's a lot of times you see, especially females, and they're like, I'm just the badass. Like, you see the Ronda Rouseys of the world, and they try to portray something maybe that they're not, or like too much. You know, I have a friend that had a very close relationship with Ronda, and he's like, no, she's not like that at all. Like, she's a sweetheart. Like, she's awesome. And she does that for the cameras. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's crazy.
Well, yeah, they have to put a face on, you know, especially, unfortunately, if you're a female in what has been like a male dominated sport, you have to sometimes, like, because of all the jerks, right? Like, everything's all about jerks. And it's like, why can't you just seriously? It is though. Like,
no, for sure. Especially because like Ronda, like, a lot of people love her, a lot of people hate her. You know, yes, she had an attitude like as like speaking, but you gotta see that she opened up the doors for females because of that. Yeah. Because she's not just a fighter. She wasn't just tough she had a nice image. She was a woman right there. Like, you could see not like the other side, you know, not just the tough side, but also like she was, you know, like feminine and she also put on a show, you know.
Yeah, she changed the sport.
Exactly.
Yeah, I watched.
She changed the sport.
I think it's hard. A lot of people don't, and they talk about this in football and basketball all the time, like, they don't appreciate greatness all the time. People love to, like, hate on LeBron James or Tom Brady because they win, and they don't appreciate that LeBron James is 6'9", 6'10", and, like, it looks like he's gliding on the basketball court, and everything is just so smooth and pretty, and it's like that is greatness. Like, I've only been to 2 professional basketball games. One time I sat way at the top, and then the other time I went, I sat really, really close. And these guys are humongous.
Yeah, they're big.
Like, not just tall, but like broad shoulders, just wide, and they're so light on their feet. And at that moment, I was like, oh my goodness, like, I can appreciate this. It is so nuts to see how smooth they are. And so, yeah, I think she was one of those people, Ronda was, where they didn't appreciate her while she was here. It was so easy to, like, hate on her as opposed to be like, this, we are witnessing greatness.
Yeah.
And we need to appreciate this.
She opened the door up for so many people, like, after her, after Dana you, White. Everyone. They've just opened the door up, and it makes me happy. It's, like I said, it makes me happy, and I feel, like, awesome because I have a daughter, and she's turning 3 tomorrow, and
happy birthday, Cash.
I know. We're taking her to Disneyland, but she is all about already because she watches me, and like you like we kind of said, like, you're a product of your environment sometimes, right? So I have a full gym in my garage. Like, I have mats, I have bags, I have everything, and so she's been watching me since she's been born. So for 3 years, she'll see me hitting a bag, or like when I have buddies over and we're all doing jiu-jitsu in my garage, she'll see it. And so now she's already at 3 years old, not even tomorrow, 3 years old. She's like, Dada, when do I get to go to jiu-jitsu? And I'm like, like, this is amazing. I'm so happy. Because I want her to learn, and my son too, but like particularly her, I want her to learn the discipline of a sport. I want her to learn how to take care of herself. I want her to learn that you can always, like you said, control your circumstances. Like, it might be really crappy, but you can always change it. And for me, at 34, I've learned, I wish I would have started jiu-jitsu when I was younger. Like, I've always done, like MMA and stuff for fun. I've trained on and off since I was in high school. So a long time, but I've never been good at it because for me, it's just fun. Yeah. But I wish I would have started it a long time ago because of there's always a way to change something, right? And jiu-jitsu teaches you that more than anything. Like, there's always a way to get out of something. There's always a way to counter something. And in life, things get crappy, but there's always a way to change it. And so again, I just wanted to say thank you for sharing. I genuinely like enjoyed listening to you, but also it literally gave me like some inspiration for myself, not just as like a father or as like a guy, but like, I own some businesses and I have a lot of people that I employ, and it literally made me just want to be like, damn, I want to be better in all of these areas. So thank you for that.
That's so cool.
I'm super excited to, like, now that I have like a little bit of a glimpse of who you are, just to like keep following you and see what you're able to accomplish. Super cool. You're living like the quote unquote American dream, right? Like, you came from a bad area to one of the nicest places in the country, like Southern California.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm still like struggling, and like it's not easy at all. Like the amount of training that I have, like right now I'm still actively competing in jiu-jitsu and I'm training MMA. Like, I'm ready to fight whenever like something comes up, and I'll keep myself ready. And like doing those two things at the same time, it's really hard. And I also need to like work. I teach classes, I do like everything. Like I said, like you said, you might be competing by me having your first jiu-jitsu tournament on the 29th, right?
Yeah.
I might be a ref in that tournament, So it's not like I'm not nearly close to where I want to be, but it's already just like so much better than where I started,
Yeah.
And I'm already able to support my family. Unfortunately, last year my mom she found out that she had cancer. It was pretty bad, and thanks to this, I was able to pay for her whole treatment, her whole surgery, her doctors, everything, just because I'm here.
Yeah.
And thank God I'm here, because if I was in Brazil, I wouldn't have been able to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And now she's fine. She's like getting better and stuff, and I'm like so thankful for that. So like it's not easy at all. So like the American dream is it's actually like waking up every day at 5 a.m., sometimes even earlier, going to run, and then doing jiu-jitsu, getting beat up, training with guys. I train mostly with the guys that are like much stronger than me, like getting frustrated, like keep pushing, go one more class, and then going to MMA and getting punched in the face and going teaching classes. So it's like it's hard. It's pretty hard, but I'm just so thankful that I'm on my way to achieve the things that I want, and hopefully I can inspire more people, and maybe people from where I come from, maybe people from other countries. It's a project that I have also, like, to go and visit other countries, like impoverished countries. Like, I actually have some contacts, like some people that have a jiu-jitsu and MMA also, like, project. They go to countries in Africa to teach and to have classes, maybe give them a new perspective, other things that they can do in these places, in this rough environments, right? And that's something I really want to work on in the future. So I hope I can be here maybe maybe soon, after, I don't know, like my first UFC fight. And then after winning a belt, who knows?
Yeah.
You know, so that's my goal, and I'm telling you, I'm gonna work as hard as I can for it. So if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah. Well, it's been a
that's
privilege.
awesome. Yeah.
We will put your info, like your social media and stuff, in the comments and stuff. Because I'll butcher it if I try to say it out loud. So we'll make sure. But everyone needs to go follow you and just just watch your journey. If there's sponsors out there that want to sponsor her, good sponsors, not the jerks.
Not the
crappy
jerks.
ones.
Yeah, good sponsors. But again, just thank you for opening up. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for responding to him, because most people probably wouldn't have even responded. So yeah, thank you.
I bugged her a little bit.
No, you didn't.
Well, Manny,
No, I'm good.
Anything
so
else?
yeah,
Oh.
if people want to get a hold of you or contact you or the UFC, like where can they contact you or follow you and follow your journey?
My Instagram, it's Iasmim Casser, so I'm gonna spell it because it's not a normal way to spell it in English. So it's Iasmim Casser, Iasmim Casser. Like I was telling them, my last name is Silva, but I don't really use that name because every Brazilian is Silva. So.
And we'll put it in the
we'll put it in the comments,
description and in
all
the
that fun
comments and
stuff.
all that stuff. What about the project that you have where you go out and teach jiu-jitsu? If people want to get involved with that, should they just contact you directly or?
I'm still working on that.
Okay.
But if you have, like, if you listening to this, you have any project where you go to teach like kids or even adults, like in impoverished areas, or like non-profit stuff, and to just like help other people change their environment, please let me know. I would love to be part of that, so please contact me, and I'll be really happy.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Also, I have to recap it right before we stop. I have to brag about you one more time. Just to recap everything. 13, left home on your own and just was hustling. Martial arts found you, and you continued to work hard. You taught yourself guitar by watching your dad. Like, that's insane
nuts
to me.
Yeah.
And then after all of that, right at the beginning before we started recording, I found out you've only been speaking English for 3.5 years, which is even more crazy to think. Like, you are clearly a very smart, educated person. And again, thank you.
Thank you.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Another great episode. And remember, guys, that everything was impossible until someone did it. So, guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/The Fight Within Podcast. Find us on all audio platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, anywhere you guys like to listen to it. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for continuing to listen to it and watch it. We can see the growth on our analytics, and just want to thank you guys for supporting us.